In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories on the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to episode 31 of 710 Sports with
Jack.
and Jared. Thanks for joining us on the week before Super Bowl 57. That's right. We had sort of a week of real football off. Of course, you know, the many...
We had the Pro Bowl.
Yes, the many
the
Pro Bowl
events.
festivities. But besides that, we're sort of without football for real football for a week.
Actually, maybe better than a normal week of football. If I'm being honest,
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about
yeah.
that. I have thoughts. I have many bad thoughts. I have many good thoughts about the weekend, and
many good thoughts.
Yeah, I do. I have, so we're going to see. Yeah. But, first we're going to have to dive into our thoughts and predictions about Super Bowl 57, of course, Kansas City versus Philadelphia, and so talk about sort of the bigger narratives of the game, who has the most on the line. I'm going to be talking about what this game means for, the face of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, and, his legacy and everything else. So, we're going to get right into it. Jack, first off, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing as good as I can. I'm not sure if I emphasized it last episode, but this was my nightmare matchup for the Super Bowl, just as a Patriots fan,
Mm-hmm.
So just the Chiefs. I know we'll talk about it in the legacy section, so I'm going to hold off on some of my more legacy related thoughts till later. But yeah, I mean, not the matchup I was looking for. I'll be honest. Both of my picks are on.
Yeah, you did pick
so there you go.
For this to be a Bengals San Fran Super Bowl. So
I did.
That's fair. And then you picked that weeks ago when the playoffs started. But
I think
So
I think it'll still be a good game. I definitely Sorry, continue.
No,
I was gonna spoil my take. I can't spoil my take. I gotta control myself here a bit.
Absolutely.
At least until we're truly into the topic.
I'm hoping that this is going to be a good game. I mean, we were spoiled last year in the playoffs because it felt like every single playoff game and the Super Bowl came down to the wire. And not so much this season. We've had plenty of good games, but we've also had plenty of blowouts. And so, especially on the NFC side. So, I guess we'll get right into the actual game here. Super Bowl 57. Right now, Philadelphia Eagles are 1.5 point favorites against the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, the game is in Arizona. All the media this week is there, sort of the whole Super Bowl prep week. We are, of course, right there on site as well, coming at you from Arizona here. Right, Jack?
As you can tell, we've actually been in Arizona this whole time. That's why our backgrounds haven't changed. We've been planning this the whole season. A lot of condo out there, actually, and these are actually different rooms. I know they look so different, but it's because it's different rooms in the same condo.
Same condo, different rooms because we didn't want to record in person. We felt like the virtual thing made more sense. Anyway, in case we were away,
yeah. Would work better on the YouTube format if we're in different rooms. It makes it look
right. So
sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, I derailed us already just to start, but we got Philadelphia. So I don't know.
Gonna be a big edit job.
Yeah, right. I guess I don't know. Do you have any? Do you want to start? I can kind of start with my analysis, and we can. Or what do you want to do?
Ooh, I got a bit of a narrative. I'll start with my narrative here.
Okay, excellent. Yeah,
I'll start with my narrative.
Let's get into it. Yeah,
right. Because as a Patriots fan, and we're gonna get into this next. Right. It's tough. It's tough that because I don't really know which team I want to have win. I don't really want the Chiefs to win for some legacy stuff. I know we'll talk about whatever. That's a next episode. Next or not next part of the episode. I mean, and so that goes up saying we'll cover that later. I'll cover why I don't want the Chiefs to win later. But why I don't want the Eagles to win is I don't think I think the Eagles have had too easy of a path, and I don't really like it. And that plays into my prediction. I'm mentioning that for my prediction. Because if I look at this Eagles record, if I look at the path that they've taken versus the Chiefs, now neither of these teams have particularly hard regular season schedules, but I would say but the Chiefs still played I would probably say more play, like they played the Bengals, they played the Bills, they played the 49ers and crushed them with Jimmy G. And they played the Chargers twice, who were in the playoffs. Yeah, they threw a massive lead, but they're in the playoffs. They've played some real teams. They did lose some of those games. They lost against the Bills, Bengals, but even in the playoffs, they played a Jaguars team, which I would say is better than say the Giants that the Eagles faced. They played the Jaguars team, and they played. And on Saturday, Trevor Lawrence's first loss on a Saturday, and they played that Bengals team, which is some analysts picked to win the Super Bowl. Or to go to, I forget how I picked them to win. Go to the Super Bowl. I did? Well, then there you go. Right? That's what Pat they've faced. The Eagles, right? Eagles have played the Giants, a team no one thought before the season would even sniff the playoffs. And they did, and it was a great story. And I wrote along with the story, right? I'll be honest. I know during the season, I was kind of, Giants. But that was for the fun of it. I never thought they were a real team. Right, like in terms of competing, it's good. Everything we saw was good for their future. Didn't think they were competitive this year. Then they play the 49ers without quarterbacks. Right, I would say, and there's talk about that. The Eagles. Well, the game became that blowout with no quarterbacks. So that's because the Eagles forced. The Eagles defense was so dominant, and they just forced. That's what a lot of Eagles fans would say, which is fair. And I would say that's fair for the Josh Johnson injury, if you think the game was even still competitive at that point. If you thought if the Eagles lost that game after Brock Purdy went down, then that would have been almost at Falcons Patriots Super Bowl level. That would have been almost Russell Wilson throwing the pick to Malcolm Butler at the goal line level. That would be not there because it's not the Super Bowl, but it would be close if they managed to lose that game. So I'm not counting that. By the time Brock Purdy goes out, I think the game's over. I still watched for the fun of it. Maybe Brock Purdy comes back second half. He did in a way, but no. Here's what but you can't say that whole the Eagles defense forcing that. It was the third play it was the first snap, the third drop back for Brock Purdy. It wasn't like they wore him down play after play, right? It was he got on the third drop back of the game. He got what would have been a season-ending injury if it happened week 1 of the preseason. If he got that injury week 1 of the preseason, he would have been out for the entire season. Right, he would maybe return for the Super Bowl, maybe if that were to happen. But even then, that's a gigantic injury that happened very early on in the game. I can't really they got that sack, right? They got the sack in that case. It's not like they didn't, but it's not like this was some defensive. They earned the right to play the 49ers instead of quarterback by their defense being so dominant because it happened on the third snap. It wasn't like the game went on and this happened. That's my sort of thoughts on the 49ers. The other thing people would say might be the Eagles have had a very good regular season record, right? And that's why they earned the kind of right to play these teams, these two teams. But let's look at the track record of some of the other one seeds the past 2 years. Say the Chiefs had to play the Jaguars. I'd say they're harder than the Giants, and a healthy Bengals team, not healthy interior O-line, but we all knew that was going to happen. It's not like losing someone mid-game. Packers last year. Packers were going to have to play the 49ers, and they would have had to play the Rams last year. The Titans, the other one seed last year, had to play the Bengals, who went on to the Super Bowl, and the Chiefs. That would have had to be those other teams' records as a one seed, even as a one seed. So it's not like being a one seed automatically gets you this super free schedule, right? Because at least these past 4 in the past 2 years, the Eagles have had the easiest of any of these one seeds, which obviously I didn't do a full deep dive on this, so I didn't analyze other seasons. But this is just for me setting the stage of even after a one seed they got lucky there. Lucky might be the wrong word, but you get my point. Even during the season, they had a dominant season. Were they the number 1 scoring offense or something like that? I know they were up there. They had amazing offense and everything. I don't have the stats pulled up right now, but it's not like they didn't have their stumbles. It wouldn't show up on their record. A lot of they won games that I would have still called stumbles, but It didn't show up on their record. Games like they only beat the Jags by 1 score when Trevor Lawrence fumbled the most of any player since at least 2000. The stats don't go further back than that. Any time on that I could find a record of, Trevor Lawrence lost more fumbles than that, and they won by 1 score. And it's 1 score, great,
but what, by a point, or what? Wasn't it like a 6-point game?
8 points, but that's technically 1 score.
Points. Okay.
Let me spin my narrative. Let me continue.
Keep going.
Spinning the facts.
Don't worry. I'm writing notes. Don't you worry. You keep going.
I know that one. I know calling 8 points 1 score is kind of slimy. I'll be honest, and it is one. It is 1 score. But
stop you on that one because that's just.
I know. you had it ready. You were ready. But even then. Okay, Cardinals. They beat the Cardinals by only 3 when the Cardinals didn't have DeAndre Hopkins, who I would say top 2 player on that team, right? Probably Kyler and him. J.J. Watt's been old and he retired this season. He had an okay season, but he might be top 2 player on that team. Not in, right? PEDs. He was suspended. They beat the Lions by only 3 week 1. Dominant Lions offense, right? But only by 3 against the Lions. They beat the Colts by 1. They barely beat the Colts. That was like a 2-minute drill. Like, they barely beat them. And that was Jeff Saturday. It wasn't even like it was Frank Reich, who I'd at least give coaching credit to, of like, oh, well, at least they beat this good coach. No, yeah, they lost to Jeff Saturday. Okay, they beat Jeff Saturday. Sorry. They beat Jeff Saturday by a point. Like, last minute game-winning drive against Jeff Saturday. Congrats. I don't know what to say about that game. Beat the Bears by 5. That's different.
Some teams playing in the Super Bowl lost to the Colts. I'd like to point that out. I'd like to
and
point
by
that
1 point as well. That's true. Hey, okay, but I'm gonna sum this up in 1 second. I'm gonna sum it up. They lost to the Commies, even with Jalen Hurts. They lost to the Commanders, and yeah, even with their backup quarterback, they couldn't squeak out a win against the Saints or the Cowboys. Maybe not a great thing. I think Cowboys are a real team. I wouldn't count that against them. I'm surprised. Gardner Minshew's a half-decent backup. Surprised they didn't beat the Saints. But the point of all this, the point of this whole spiel is I don't think they're as good as some of their record and some of their play has indicated. I think the point of these isn't to show they're frauds because they only beat the Bears by 5 or because they only beat the Jags by 8 with those fumbles. Yes, but that is what my point is just to try to say it's not like they've had this dream Patriots 16-0 season. Of course they just went on to lose, but it's not like they've had this dream season where they've won everything's been perfect and they have looked like this clearly dominant team. Both of their playoff wins have been blowouts, but I would not count either of those wins as well as I would count the Chiefs win over the Bengals. Even though it was close, I would value that Chiefs win over the Bengals 3 times more than I'd count either of those wins. That they had in the playoffs. And I think for me, that's why, and I have more to say about pro Chiefs, not just, this is my anti-Eagles rant. Later I could say more about the Chiefs, but that just for me, I think the Eagles have outperformed. I think they've outperformed or gotten lucky, whatever terminology we want to use. Whereas I think the Chiefs look like the real deal, as much as I hate to say it.
I gotta push back a little bit because
you do gotta push back.
I do not believe this narrative that for somehow, the Eagles, who are the number 1 seed, who have dominated teams pretty much the entire season, are somehow lesser than because they had to play the Giants, in the playoffs. Guess what? The Giants won a playoff game. They beat the Vikings. Right. And some of these things, it is perspective. It depends on how you look at it. You saying the Jags, you'd say, are better than the Giants. The Jags shouldn't even won a playoff game. Like Trevor Lawrence is throwing 4 picks in the first half. They shouldn't have even won
blaming
that
the refs.
game.
I'm blaming the refs for that.
Okay, sure. I'm just saying that's debatable. That's debatable. 49ers, everybody's fully aware that they're the best roster in the league. And I know we talked about the injury problems, and I know it's ridiculous that they were on their 5th string quarterback. I hear how could they have possibly won. I'm just saying up to that point, they were on their 3rd string quarterback and they hadn't lost a game.
That's true.
Right. That's not like that's a bad team. Also, their defense is the best in the league. And with some help from a couple of turnovers, Philadelphia scored like 31 on them, right? Or something like that, right? So I want to defend the Eagles a little bit. That's all. I want to push back on this because I think it's the idea of, well, the Eagles, they're pretty young. If you look at like all their starters were basically just all drafted by them most in the last like 3 years. You've got this kind of a little bit wacky head coach who's a little bit odd and likes rock, paper, scissors. And I don't particularly love him either. And then you got Jalen Hurts, a dude who's like, what is his third year? Pretty unproven, not necessarily your typical quarterback play. Definitely like a big part of his game is the run. And I think this all culminates to maybe not giving them the respect that they would deserve. I mean, they're here. They beat the 49ers, who everybody loved all season despite being on their third QB. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, the Eagles beat them, but let's discount that when we've loved the 49ers the entire season. And they didn't have to play Dallas, but they beat them. They split with them, during the regular season, quarterback issues aside.
Yeah. Sadly, those games could have been so much better if quarterbacks are healthy. But yeah.
Exactly. But, I hear there are some things that it's hard to ignore. Over the season, the Eagles only played 4 playoff teams the entire regular season. They played and it was Dallas and the Giants, so they played them twice, but then they also played the Jags and the Vikings. That's it. It's not a particularly, amazing set of teams either, even considering their playoff teams, whereas Kansas City played 7 playoff teams and the Chargers twice, but they had the Bengals, obviously the Bills. But if you look at Kansas City, I also like Kansas City a lot, and I think that they're the real deal as well. But it's not like they didn't have hiccups. They lost to the Colts, not with Jeff Saturday, but they lost to the Colts. Also, they had to take the Texans into overtime to win against them. The Texans, right? So
see that. Was it the Texans or the Titans? I forget.
I'm pretty sure that they went to overtime versus.
Was it the Texans?
You can check that.
Hate to see that.
But hey, listen, good teams. They have their days, especially, and then bad teams have their days. And if they merge as a Venn diagram, right? Sometimes you have an upset like that. So there's hiccups, and I don't know. I just don't like the narrative that, But I want to hear, with all that setup from you, like I want to hear about Kansas City and then what your pick is, because it seems like you're really leaning hard into Kansas City here. I mean, what are you expecting if you think that the Eagles are sort of overvalued, so to speak? They're not the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, part of that was intentionally, and for the conversation. I figured you'd give some good pushback, which you did. Which is why, and obviously I was churning things up a bit, but I still think for me, that Chiefs win, I know there's the weird reffing concerns and so on in the championship game, but that Chiefs win without like their top 3 receivers, I think, without their cornerback 1 and their veteran in the secondary veteran. I think he was drafted like 2020 or something, but relatively veteran in the secondary. I think they lost their middle linebacker. Kelsey had back problems that listed late in the week. Mahomes had the whole ankle thing that we could visibly see impacted him on multiple plays. I just think some of that, the fact that they still muscled it out against a team that I thought as highly of as I did for the Bengals, the fact that they won that game for me is big. And even when I look at the stats, I think that obviously the 49ers were a better defense than the Chiefs defense, right? But if I look at the Chiefs defense, they still were the second most sacks. I know the Eagles were most by a bunch, right? They were most by like 15 or something, but the Chiefs were still second. It's not like the Chiefs defense wasn't getting sacks. They were second most sacks. They're like a middle of the pack. Like they're averaged to good defense. They were middle of the pack in passing passing defense. Middle of the pack against passing offense. Middle of the pack passing defense, but they were top quarter rushing defense. They had a relatively decent, even though I can't think of too many guys other than Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, the rookie, like in that front 7. I don't know a lot of their front 7, the Chiefs. I can name some other players, but like that, like they're still top quarter rushing, which I think will help match up against the Eagles, which I know is what I said about the 49ers as well, because the 49ers had an even better rush defense. But I think that game, I'm crediting that game broke down, right? And that's why, and that's you could say I shouldn't do that too much with the defensive side, but that's its own thing. But I don't like. I think against a more explosive offense, I think that combined with the Chiefs' good run defense, good pass rush, I think the Eagles will see a bit more troubles offensively than they did when they were playing the 49ers. Those are some of the benefits. I mean, really for me, also the fact that Mahomes has been having an MVP year, and I know Jalen Hurts was also having an MVP year, if not for some of the injuries in the season. But I think Mahomes having a bigger MVP year, right? And I think that Mahomes has just looked so amazing. The fact that they won that game, like that for me, it's their, maybe it's recent. You could say I'm analyzing too much on the recent event of that AFC Championship game, but I think that's big. I think their win against that, for me, proved a lot to me about the Chiefs, and proved to me, like, because I think they deserve. I think they for me, the difference is after that 49ers Eagles, I can't confidently say I think one team's better than the other. I will stop. It does make me stop being as much of an Eagles hater, right? Right. The Eagles very well could have won that game, even with Brock Purdy still in the game, or with Jimmy G or whatever, whoever you want. I still think they could have won. I'm not going to be that much of a hater, but I don't know. For me, that's still a mystery box. I didn't reach a conclusion. But for this, I feel confidently that the Chiefs are better than the Bills and the Bengals. Based on what we saw in the AFC playoffs, I feel confident that the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC and did it in an impressive way, I think, given the injuries. So that's my pro Chiefs spiel. Last pro Chiefs thing I will say.
So are you picking the Chiefs?
Are you looking for?
What do we got here?
So I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm picking the score line. You're trying to get a score line out of me?
You can hold on it until after I can give mine, good. And then you can think.
Yeah. Then I can kind of just piggyback off yours in a way, reverse it or change it by.
I don't think you're going to based off of what I'm about to say here. But all right, here's the way that I see this. Okay, I think these teams. I mean, I don't know. When I look on paper, it seems pretty clear to me that the Eagles are the better team. I don't know. I mean, sure, Kansas City has a great O-line. Guess whose O-line is better? The Eagles. Yeah, Kansas City, like you said, they got a ton of sacks, second most in the league. Guess whose D-line is better? The Eagles, by far. You know, I mean, the production that they've got this year out of all of their linemen. And it's not like a situation where it's just one guy where, you know, I think in Kansas City it's being led by Jones. The Eagles, it's everybody, right? So what about skilled players, right? Certainly with the injuries and maybe even before, I think the Eagles have the edge. But now, if we think Juju Smith-Schuster might be, he's questionable with a knee, I think, or something. You know, there's people who are out. Like they're going to have, like you said, they had injury problems in the championship game. Even if they all play, you know, which I assume that they will if they can. There's going to be some issues there. So, you know, you give the edge to the Eagles with skilled players. So, and then maybe the cornerbacks, you know, safeties. You know, I think that, you know, you look at what's his name, Gardner for the Eagles. I think he's better than anybody in the back end for the Chiefs.
I'd say that, yeah. I'd agree.
You know, and then you start looking, I don't care. Take it to kickers, whatever. I mean, Butker was hurt early in the season, and he did not have as good as a season in terms of, you know, field goals made, field goal percentage as the other kid, Jake Elliott on the Eagles. You know what? But all that to say, there is one big difference, and that's at QB. Okay, I think that's the only place that Kansas City has an edge, and so. I mean, part of this for me is that at the midpoint of the season, I could already tell that Kansas City was better than everybody else in the AFC because I had my doubts about the Bengals, and they didn't really come true.
About the Bills,
and you, you know how I felt about the Bills. But I had said at the midpoint season, you know, I put my feet, you know, 2 on the ground and said Kansas City will beat Seattle in the Super Bowl. I said that. And I stuck by that when the playoffs started. and I'm sticking by the pick now. But so all that defense of the Eagles is to basically say, I think Mahomes is gonna figure this out. I really do, and this is gonna be a massive game for him if he can win this, because I think that the majority of the game it's gonna look like the Eagles have the upper hand. I really do. I think that Super Bowls always start slow, oftentimes go through a full quarter and no one scores anything. But I think that the Eagles are going to be a lot more consistent through the entire game, especially with Mahomes being a little bit injured. He's going to probably play a little conservative. He's not going to be running as much because he's not going to need to. But by the end of the game, I think he's going to, if he needs to run, he will run, even with the ankle. And he'll take his shots when he has to. And they're going to be down. My prediction is the Eagles will be up most of this game, and the Chiefs will be down maybe by 6 or something going into the fourth quarter. And, young teams, they get tight like that. And the Eagles are a young team. And what I'm predicting is Eagles are up 27-21, and Mahomes gets the ball late, and he drives down, and he scores a touchdown, and he ends this game. And so I'm going to go ahead and take the Chiefs 28-27. But here's the thing. This is the key. I would be shocked if Kansas City wins this game convincingly. But I think it could go easily the other way. I think that this could be a blowout. If the Eagles D-line does what the Bucs D-line did to Mahomes 2 years ago, this game is over because he's the X factor for Kansas City. If they neutralize Mahomes, if he throws a pick, has a fumble, they got 5 sacks on him, and he's not effective at all with the injury, Philadelphia is going to score their points. I have complete faith in that. They're going to score their points. I think that they're going to run the ball pretty well. Kansas City doesn't have a bad run defense. It's above average, but I think that they'll get their yards. I think even if Jalen Hurts makes a mistake or two, I think that they'll score plenty of points. And if they can hold Mahomes, this game will be over. And it could be 14. It could be 17. I would not be shocked if it went like that. But I'm going to go ahead and pick Kansas City close, 28-27. So what are you thinking score-wise?
I think I agree with a lot. What you were to say, that the picture you kind of painted about how you think the Eagles will kind of seem to have control for a lot, but then Mahomes will have a last second sort of drive. I think I agree very, very well with that, because I also think for, like, maybe if we look player by player, it could be different. But if you look at the units, I would say that outside a quarterback and tight end, the Chiefs are outgunned, right? Because even if we want to say, oh, Chris Jones, he's so great, like you were saying, yeah, I mean, the Eagles have so much depth. They have like good talent all over that defensive line. It's not Chris Jones being the kind of one man show, and so on, like the secondary and stuff. I agree, especially L'Jarius Sneed's questionable with a concussion. Kadarius Toney and Juju Smith-Schuster are both questionable as well. And for the run game thing, outside linebacker Willie Gay Jr., I believe he's an off the ball linebacker, though I think, is also questionable. That's one of the other players that they beat the Bengals even without. But yeah, I think Mahomes will be that X factor, and I think that he'll squeeze out that win like that. I think it will maybe be. I'm a little bit more confident in them, so I'll maybe kick it up to like 30-27. I'll say it's a tie game, and they drive down for the field goal after Philadelphia ties it and leaves like a minute left. Let's say whatever, it's a field goal touchdown, whatever, they tie it with like a minute left. I think the Chiefs go down and score like that. That's the sort of vibe I'm thinking. But I think it's the same. I think through the first 3 quarters, I think, like we said, I think it would make sense that the Eagles are up, and then the X factor kicks in last quarter, and it kind of the tail turns a bit. And that's what I think. So like 30-27, Chiefs, something like that.
Yeah, it's funny how, like, you give me all these reasons to not believe in the Eagles. I push back, and then I just turn around and not believe in the Eagles. It's basically what I say. Like, I say, like, I want to give them their respect, but I do not believe that they'll stop this, outgunned Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City team, right? Yeah. Which is funny, but
it's which is perfect transition. I see how you plan like this to that legacy sort of stuff, to those legacy sort of questions. Because you're saying this is a legacy game for Mahomes, and I think I agree. I'm curious, do you have anything else on that? Do you want me to talk about the legacy?
No, I mean, I can go. I mean, you want to look at people like to already crown Mahomes, you know, before. I mean, he hasn't been he's been starting in the league for what, 6 years or whatever.
Yeah,
He doesn't
something like
have
that,
a full body of work, but we can tell. I mean, he's about as good as anyone I've ever seen play in my short lifetime. And there's been a lot of quarterbacks like that, like Aaron Rodgers. But the difference is, right, can Mahomes, because we figure probably Mahomes will probably break a lot of records if he plays for 17 to 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
He's going to, especially with the way that the league's going passing wise, he's going to break, total passing yards, TDs, like career TDs. He's going to have all the statistics. He'll probably have, what is he's got? This is his second MVP this year, assuming he gets it. So he could have another one more. It's 3 MVPs. That's quite a bit. He's going to have all that stuff. I'm assuming that he plays.
I think it's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair to assume.
But you only, unless you're Tom Brady, you don't get very many opportunities to go to the Super Bowl, right? And you can look at it, and it's what makes Tom Brady so incredible is that Tom Brady went to the Super Bowl 10 times, and the next guy with the most appearances is 5. Like Elway went to 5. And so you start thinking, how many times is Mahomes going to be able to get back there? And if he doesn't win this one right off the bat, he's 1-2, right? And even if he wins his next 2, he's 3-2, and that puts him tied for 4th most all time Super Bowl wins, I believe, because that would put him in. If he got 3 Super Bowl wins, he'd be there with Troy Aikman, but Bradshaw, Montana, and Brady have more. So, and I'm not saying that. I mean, I don't think that. Assuming he got 3 TDs, I don't think Bradshaw's a better QB than him. I'm just saying.
This guy, big Terry Bradshaw fan.
I'm just saying. Those are the stats, right? You can look at them.
Yeah.
So I just wonder that would the narrative shift to go in the opposite direction, where it's like we believe that you and I both believe, even though he seems to be outmatched with the rest of the teams around him, we believe that Mahomes will win this game. If he loses this game, will next year the narrative be different? Will it be we'll assume he will lose this game, or he will not be able to get it done because he's 1-2 in the Super Bowl? I think it's a slippery slope. I really do. Obviously, especially with Joe Burrow coming into his own. Dude's basically only in seasons he's played, he's been in the Super Bowl and the championship game. Now he didn't win one like Mahomes, but and some will say Josh
lost
Allen.
both of those. Yeah, no.
Some will say Josh Allen, but I'm not going to say that.
Some Josh Allen heads.
Yeah. So I think it's really big. What do you think?
Yeah. All right. I mean, one thing just to kind of piggyback off the end of what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, that is it. Lose this game. Then there's talk about Aaron Rodgers, who had, even in an off year, had a pretty good season. Talk of him potentially coming to the AFC, going to a team like the Jets. Talk about that. Just adding yet another. You think about the teams who we think are going to take a quarterback very early this draft. Maybe quarterbacks who will have similar massive rises. You're thinking the Colts trading up for the number 1. A lot of talk about that. And the Texans. These teams that we know they're going to be taking early quarterbacks who, of course, are wild cards. But I mentioned this to talk about that there's just so much quarterback talent in the AFC. That's one thing I didn't really mention. Looking at the list of quarterbacks that the Eagles have had to face, they've not had to face a quarterback even close to Mahomes' level. It's not like they even got to face a Joe Burrow. They faced Dak Prescott. They faced Kirk O'Chains, maybe Jared Goff week 1. If you count that, I'd have to go. I have it open somewhere, but like they faced one drive of Brock Purdy. Which really, right up there with Mahomes. But that's the thing. That's the thing. NFC, AFC. There's a lot of it's going to be, I think, hard to sustain the same sort of dynasty that the Patriots had in the AFC right now. I don't know if that's the league difference, if it's the player difference of Mahomes, if it's a team, whatever. Anyway, To kind of go to the actual question here, I mean, yeah, this question is why it's hard for me as a Patriots fan to really root for either team, because I don't like the Eagles. I don't, for those reasons I said, but I don't want to root for the Chiefs because because people were making people were crowning Mahomes like years ago, right? Right. That's not just that it was this year. It was very early on. He was getting crowned, right? People would say Brady who. Brady, who we only like Mahomes now. Okay, Grandpa, go to bed. That's what that. So that's what I like. I don't want them to win because I want to shut it down because I want everyone to remember how great Brady is. I want to make sure no one even gets close. I mean, part of it even, Brady had Belichick on his first podcast, first episode of this new podcast. Brady had Belichick on, and had a real heart to heart. Had a real heart to heart. The bridge has been mended. The bridge is mended. I don't have to have any reservations about liking Tom Brady anymore. Don't have to have any reservations.
Thank goodness.
So I can fully go fanboy and I can say 80 for Brady, not sponsored. No, but in seriousness, for me, that's why because I think, like you're saying, if Mahomes loses this one, it's his 6th, 7th year of his career. Oh, Brady won 3 Super Bowls in his first 6 years. Next year, he had a perfect season, almost won the Super Bowl, right? Of course, it went to the Super Bowl. Mahomes going to the Super Bowl, but that's the thing. At this point in Brady's career, he not only went to 3 Super Bowls, he won 3 Super Bowls,
right?
On good team, whatever. But like that, and then he had a whole second wave of his dynasty in the 2000s. There's all sorts of stuff here for that. There's the smaller point of Gronk versus Kelsey, which is its own episode, its own topic for another episode. But I also want that. I don't want Kelsey to win another because I'm a Gronk stan. Okay, I'm looking. That's the sort of thing for me that I think what you're saying. You gave the actual analysis. I'm just giving the kind of petty personalness to say, yeah, you're right. If the Chiefs lose this game, that it could be damaging to legacy. And if they win, especially if they win in the way that we both think Mahomes will likely lead that game-winning drive, a Brady-esque drive, that is that's a legacy statement. Big MVP season, bring across a team without as much talent, losing Tyreek Hill, losing these stars, and then still coming back, having an MVP season, winning the Super Bowl against a team which years from now, everyone's gonna look at this Eagles team and say, "Oh, look at their record." Like they're not gonna listen to the kind of bozos like me kind of talking about the Eagles schedule, right? You're not gonna see that. You're gonna see this is a number 1 seed, crushed the playoff games. No one's gonna remember Brock Purdy. Or, I hope they will. It would be interesting if he's the starter next year. And all of that. That's its own conversation. But people may not remember. Some of the narratives will die down a couple of years. They'll just look at the record. They'll just look at the game sheets and think that this Eagles team was a monster. And they're going to think this Eagles, which maybe they are, right? Maybe they are. But that's what it's going to look like years from now. That if the Eagles can go and win that game, then the Chiefs. If the Chiefs go and win that game, years from now, that will big legacy points right there. And that's 100%, I think
100%.
Yeah.
And you just look at right now where I'm sitting, I can't imagine a world where Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. I mean, just for how long he did it, for how many,
he could win 4 straight. Mahomes wins 4 straight. Then perhaps even I have to bend the knee.
But I don't think and no one's won 3 straight. So if he wins, because Bills
went to 4 straight, right? Didn't the Bills went to 4 straight,
and the Cowboys won 3 out of 4, but no one's won 3 straight, and so maybe there's something there. But if you look at it, I could see 10, 15 years from now when Mahomes is retiring, and we're a good 15 years away from Brady playing. I could see people saying, Brady was never that good. It was the culmination of Belichick and the Patriots and the defenses there. Whereas Mahomes was clearly the best. He's the best quarterback.
He was the focus of the teams.
Right? Pure passing and athleticism. Of course, Mahomes is better than Brady. You take Mahomes for any single game. Brady got lucky often, blah, 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 all this stuff. I can see the arguments, even though I wouldn't believe it. But he's got to win plenty of more Super Bowls for that to happen. It's got to start here. Let's get let's
some
get
Pro Bowl
into
thoughts.
the Pro Bowl stuff, right?
Whew,
Um,
spicy.
yeah, I don't know. Do you have general thoughts on the Pro Bowl? What are you thinking on the
I'll say I
weekend
didn't
and
I didn't
everything?
watch a whole lot. I saw some of the stuff from after. I watched a bit of the dodgeball because it was on in the gym when I was at the gym, so I was kind of watching that while on the treadmill, you know. But yeah, I mean, didn't watch all the time. Watched the first half of one of those flag football games. Don't know why Snoop Dogg and Pete Davidson were there. Don't know why that. I don't know
I don't know why
if
a
it
lot of
changed
things
later.
are happening with the Pro Bowl. I'll be
I mean,
honest.
yeah, that Ray Lewis was there starting the game, showing Ray Lewis yelling at people or something, which is fine. But it just like I don't know, it just seemed kind of funny. I think it's funny everyone talking about even the end of the Pro Bowl game. The people were talking about the refs. Even ref drama in the Pro Bowl. just funny to me. But I mean, I'm laughing and I'm taking this segment not seriously because I didn't feel like I had to take the Pro Bowl thing seriously,
Yeah,
which is what happened last year, right? Last year was 2-hand touch or something, effectively. But I mean, yeah, this wasn't really anymore. So the fact it was over multiple days, which I know is like normal, like skills challenge is normal enough, but like for me, this didn't. Like I was planning on tuning in 3 p.m. Sunday, right? And that's when I tuned in. I didn't really pay attention to anything other than that. Not really. As a not to sound like too much of a casual here, but for me, I wasn't like I saw that some stuff was happening. Like I said, in the gym, I made sure to stay in the position to get to still see the TV if I was moving from machine to machine or whatever. I watched it, and I watched the whatever the Dodge whatever was going on there. But it's like I was tuning in to see 3 p.m. Sunday, and for me, 3 p.m. Sunday was like it. Like the fact that it wasn't even on a real football field, right? It was on whatever weird wacky thing. It just made me kind of not pay as much attention. Like it made me even that little teensy bit that I might get out of the Pro Bowl and the kind of funniness of that. I didn't even really get that because it was like, oh, it's not like it looks like it's like the yard out of a Madden game, or like it looks like just silly. I don't know what to say. It's like an indoor football stadium, not like a dome, not like a roofed stadium. It's like your high school gym. It's like your school gym, and they put grass down on it, and then put the bleachers up. That's the feel it had for me. It felt very very like public school sports.
Yeah. I'll start with my problems with this weekend. Okay. I will also say I didn't watch any of this live on TV. Of course not. I don't even have cable. Okay. So I didn't, but you know what? For this podcast, I did watch pretty much every single segment like that went up on YouTube. So every single little event, all that. And sometimes I skimmed through them. Sometimes I played them without.
Thank you for your service.
Without audio. Hey, I did what I had to do. But I want to get to the biggest problem that I saw with the Pro Bowl, right? And this is a problem that I'm not breaking new ground here with this, but come on, let's look. This is a QB league. It's a QB league, and who do we got playing in the Pro Bowl? We got Geno Smith. Okay, he's the best QB from this year in this pack. It's Geno Smith. Okay, then you got Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff. Okay, they had good seasons.
The Goffster, yeah.
But the NFC only had one replacement. Okay, it's the AFC who should be playing is Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. And obviously, okay, Mahomes goes to the Super Bowl. He doesn't have to play. Burrow and Allen are out on injury. They weren't injured when they were losing in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's
because I didn't see them go out of those games.
Kind of weak of them to not go. I'll be like Allen doesn't. You're telling me? I mean, no, but I guess Allen had some weird injury thing. But I was gonna say if Geno's going, if Kirko,
you're telling me
if Geno's going,
Kirko
Chains is going.
He can play in the divisional round, but he can't play flag football where he can't get touched. Hey, come on.
Don't want to hurt his feelings, bro. Yeah, like because it's not like Kirko Chains lost a playoff game. Geno Smith lost a playoff game. They still went.
Okay,
you know, I don't know. Yeah.
It doesn't even stop there in the AFC. Guess who should have been after that? Justin Herbert.
Lamar.
Why didn't he play?
Oh,
Justin Herbert, why didn't he play? And then Tua, he's hurt. I'm not going to ask Tua. I'm surprised he's alive. Fine, okay. Tua doesn't have to play.
Yeah.
And then I believe it's Lamar, and he's hurt or whatever. He hasn't been playing for whatever. I guess he's actually injured, maybe. So then Huntley, what? Huntley gets the call.
I want one dude, Jared, one guy. Aliens have the laser beam pointed at Earth, and you need one quarterback to lead your drive for Peyton Manning, the coach, to win the flag football game between AFC and NFC. Who do you pick to throw the pass? Death beam pointed at Earth at the White House.
Purdy's elbow.
I want Tyler Huntley.
Okay, so you can have him because he's available. It seems he's at the Pro Bowl because he had time to go to the Pro Bowl, unlike all the other actual good QBs in the AFC. And it's just crazy because it's like Trevor Lawrence is the best QB who was playing there, and he threw a pick six in the flag football Pro Bowl. Who cares, right? But that seems to be starting to feel like a little bit of a pattern here with Trevor Lawrence. But a bit of
a turnover monster. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, we should have had Dak out there. I'm sure he could have thrown a couple of picks.
Give me Dak versus Lawrence in a.
But yeah, you got Trevor Lawrence, Tyler Huntley, and Derek Carr. Not to just keep banging this drum, but Derek Carr got benched for Jarrett Stidham this year.
Give me Derek Carr.
Oh, I'm sorry, but and the biggest thing for this moving forward is if you can't get the players to buy in, and they don't like it, or they don't care, or they're not willing to literally get paid to do this. They get bonuses to go and do this. If they're not willing to, then why are we even doing this, right? And so that's the way that I see it is it's like there's lots of different ideas about what we could do, and I like some of them. And I actually the flag football thing, I don't hate the flag football thing, but I would like it a lot more if it was Josh Allen and Joe Burrow playing, right, and not Tyler Huntley, right? Because it is fun to see a lot of these like really good players, a lot of these stars like, Diggs and Ramsey and all these guys on defense and offense.
Was it Devontae Adams laddering the ball and then Tyreek Hill gets blown up by Jalen Ramsey unpadded? That's a funny play. I'll be honest. And one thing, the fact that he's lateraling, the fact that he gets blown up on the Cam Hayward carrying Tyreek Hill around afterwards.
And there was fun plays. There was lots of like weird, funny things that they were doing like behind the line of scrimmage laterals. Stephon Diggs throws a pick to Trayvon Diggs. Like it's fun. It's like that's the good part. Yeah. But when you've got, I don't know, it's like this is a QB league, right? And so that's that's the flag football. And I have good things to say about the flag football too, which I'll get to. But my other problems, my smaller problems, was the entire weekend. All these events suck. I'm sorry, but like if you go, like I really, and it doesn't, to a certain extent, it doesn't matter because I don't know what it did on TV. I'm sure it did plenty well because people who have cable will watch anything on cable. They don't like it's not they're not too specific. It's like, okay, what's on? There it is. I'll watch, right?
Hey, I'm paying a ton of money for this.
Right.
May as well watch it,
or,
right?
Or I watch reruns of some sitcom from 10 years ago, right? It's like that's what's available on cable. Might as well watch
what's Ted Mosby doing right now?
Right. Might as well watch the balloon toss Pro Bowl. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like some of these events but even on YouTube, these clips did ridiculously well. I mean, these clips have millions of views. Terrible events. Things that when you watch them, it's just like things that we would do with children at summer camp is literally what they were doing. Water balloon toss for a good 20 minutes, right? Catching punts, like how many punts can you catch and hold the same amount of footballs in your hands?
Jackpot? Was that what it's called? Is it jackpot where you throw the football up and you say 400? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Or they didn't play jackpot,
but it weren't doing that. But it feels like that.
It's the classic practice. I think it's like a practice like thing where you basically you have one guy out there and you punt balls to him and he catches as many as he can without dropping them.
I see.
And that's okay.
It's
That's
funny.
fine. They're doing like
Yeah.
the NFL version of the dunk contest, right? But it's the catch
Oh, right.
contest, which was awful. I watched
saw
some of
this,
that.
yeah.
I didn't think it was any
Yeah, I
good.
saw some of that too.
Because it was like they were doing it like they were catching passes from like 10 feet away from each other. I mean, you give them a trampoline and a pad, I could almost make some of these catches. I mean, but so that just didn't make any sense. And then even some of it was kind of cool when you saw them like have these like athletic feats, right? Like the linemen have to pull like 1,000-pound wall. Like some of that's okay, but it's just, I don't know, it's not as interesting. Then they had like this thing where they basically like they threw like non-quarterbacks threw at a dunk take and they had to hit like 4 things. And then like I think like Peyton and Eli were in the dunk take, or like maybe I think it was like Eli and Ray Lewis were in the dunk take.
Yeah.
And guess what? We had dunk takes at camp too. We had water, like that's what it reminded me of, except it was worse because they didn't dump water on them. They dumped confetti on them. They dumped a small bucket of confetti on Eli Manning. That was the payoff. And then literally I think Eli was shocked. He was like, "This is it." Like he was like, "This is."
There you go. That's all I gotta say to that. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just like all these.
It's worse than I thought.
Yeah, all these events were garbage. I mean, that's all that to say. To a certain extent, it seems like the NFL could do literally anything, which they are. They're doing anything, and it's going to be fine. Partially because people will just watch it, whether it be on YouTube or cable, and plenty of people will tune in, like myself, to complain about it and say, "This sucks. Why is it like this?"
You watching this video right now, you're watching a video about us complaining about it.
I'm part of the problem. So it doesn't really matter because it seems like it could get worse and worse, and people still watch it. And maybe I'm off base. Maybe it's great. And there are some parts of it that I think are good. I think, not to get too in the weeds about what they could be doing, like playing for the first overall pick, which is, I think, a terrible idea in actuality, but it would be hilarious. What about playing for third place? What if the teams who lost in the championship round had to play each other this weekend and they play for third place? Why would you want to do
some sort of you have to make some sort of bonus.
Right, you could make a bonus, but also maybe you could give another first round pick to the winning team or something, like to make it like so that players aren't sitting that one out, right? Like so it's a two-pronged thing, right? Do people watch it, which I think is a yes, and more importantly, do the players like it? And I think the players seem to like this flag football thing. Clearly, it's a lot safer, and it's fun. It's something new. They enjoy it. So maybe this is where we go with this. And I do like the flag football. I think the flag football could have widespread positive effects for football in general, because I mean, I think we feel similarly about this. We love football, but we don't love the idea of our kids playing football, right? Like we watch guys almost die on the field. I mean, it's a violent game.
Watch someone literally die this season, and then be brought back to life on the field. Yeah.
And I mean, that was a little bit different, but still, like, with
CTE, that's a bit unique, but
it's violent. People, like you always say, like it seems like it's a dangerous sport because it is. And I don't want my 11-year-old going out and bashing his head against another 11-year-old, right? Or her head, whatever. Here's the thing. Flag football, they're already doing it. Like, I looked this up because, like, I was trying to understand the rules of what they're doing, but this is a push by the NFL. It's called NFL flag. That's what they was saying on the TV, but there's rules. They play it in schools. They play it in youth leagues all across America. And we played flag football. I mean, I did when I was a kid, but it wasn't organized.
Smart.
It wasn't organized like that, right?
You know what? That's a really smart move by the NFL, I think, because you do that, and then you get of course you're fine with your kid playing flag football,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. If he's gonna get hurt playing that, he'll get hurt playing soccer. He'll trip. Right? Yeah, it's non-contact, which means you play that, right? Kids play that. If a kid's really good, they might really like football, and then now they'll try it for the high school team.
Exactly.
Right? That's how you get That's how you get younger kids to play if they're good and they like playing, or if the parents are like, even in the case of it, warms the parents up to it. Even if you want to go full like Machiavelli on it, you can even think of it as, oh well, now it's kind of normalized. It's kind of warming the parents up to it. But I think the bigger thing being, it can get the parents and or kids more into it. If this kid looks like, oh wow, he's a monster in the NFL flag. He's a monster in his like in these places. He should play in high school. He should join his high school team. And then at that point, we're back to normal. We're back to what it has been for a while, where a lot of people are relatively more okay playing. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's
smart.
like for me, I've thought about this. It's like, I don't want my kid playing, but man, if I had a 17-year-old in high school or 16-year-old in high school and he really just wanted to play, it would be an easier sell if he's been playing flag for years and he's really good. Right. And it's like, well, you want to do the real thing. You're going to get hurt. It's going to hurt, but you could do it. Right?
And at that point, it's also more like an adult. It's not like, okay, like, can I let my 10-year-old play football and like start damaging his brain this early on, his or her brain? But like his, like, I mean, for a lot of this, but his, but like, are you gonna like that's a tougher sell. Versus like, yeah, I mean, if I had a kid and they were 17, 18, they've been playing in like at that, or like if it's 17, they've been playing a bunch of flag and they feel like, you know what, I'm going to try out. I'm going to walk on for the football team. Like at that point, it's like, well, okay, like you're 17, like, yeah, I can tell you not to play, but it's like it means it's somewhat different, right? It's different when like you're going to let your 17-year-old play versus you're going to make your 8-year-old play, Like there's a lot different level of like, because if you're 8, yeah, that could hopefully likes playing. Hopefully you're not making them go. But it's like if you didn't tell your 8-year-old what football was, they wouldn't know what it is. You know, now it might be, now it's different with phones. I'm talking for us old 23-year-old men here. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
I think it's interesting with the way that people have these concerns about the game and the safety. Even at the professional level, I'm not saying, and I would hope that, football would not somehow evolve into simply flag football. I'm not saying I think it could be good for the sport in general, especially if they're playing this every year. It's like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's more of those programs pop up. There's more opportunity and stuff. So I like that about it. And like I said, the players seem to enjoy it. If they're on board, I'm on board. The problem is some of them aren't, right? Josh Allen, where are you? Right. No. Joe Burrow, where are you? I'm just, you know what I mean? And part of this is that the NFC, a lot of the QBs that you would know and love that would be playing had bad years, like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and stuff. So part of that is that too. But I don't know. True, you got to get the players there. That's all.
Yeah, I think for me, I think all that's good. Yeah, this is worse than I thought than the Pro Bowl, or just like this is some of the. I know you also talked about positives, but from some of those games. Yeah, I mean, I think what I want to see, because I saw a clip of this earlier, I want to see like player like tune in like have a set program. I want to see players. How much can you bench for 3 reps? Right, 1 rep that could be dangerous. Right, 1 rep max. Maybe you mess it up or something. You tear a pec, and like how much you can bench like 225. Like what players do with the combine. Players will do like 40 reps of that. I mean, it's neat. It's crazy, right? It's crazy, but it's not as neat as I want to see Vita Vea benching 600. Okay, or maybe not that. That's crazy. But, like, you know what I mean?
450 or whatever. What they're always saying.
Yeah, exactly. TV. Yeah, exactly. I want to see these guys squatting heavy. I want to see crazy stuff like that. And I know I was texting you this, and then actually thinking it's a decent idea, but like have them play basketball, right? The basketball like pro whatever all-star game is relatively like because it's a different sport, right? It's not, you can get hurt, obviously. Plenty of players get hurt all the time, but it's not the same as football in terms of maybe frequency of injury, likelihood you get hurt. And this players will still play the Pro Bowl, the All-Star game, relatively hard. And I think that like having NFL players play that would be hilarious. A lot of dudes, they're still generally tall, right? But it's not like there's not many 7-footers going around the NFL, right? Right. It's not like you got to worry about too much about the physical aspect of it. Yeah, it means linemen probably won't play. unless
but
they're
linemen
kind of
aren't
like
playing now. They're not really.
yeah. Oh yeah,
So
because
it's
it's even
already
flag
here we
football now.
are. You know.
Yeah, 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 or because if you're outside linebacker, edge rusher sort of lineman, maybe you can still you're heavy, but like you can still play pickup, but
Yeah.
like it's not like this is going to be a super competitive game. Even someone that size can still play for fun, and I'm sure they do. I'd have to think some of these guys play over the summer just for fun. Like I'd have to think like it just I like that for me would be fun. Like it's still them playing a sport. Have them play soccer.
I think
Maybe
it's
not that, but
a good idea. I
but
mean,
like
you
but
could have
something
them.
like having them play a real sport.
You're already
Not
dumping all
I like
this
flag football's
money.
okay, but
You're dumping all this money into these terrible events. I mean, I'm talking about you're paying to air this stuff. You're paying to set it up, and it's guys throwing. Why not have them play 5-on-5 pickup, and then the next and have it be a short game, have it be 5-minute quarters,
yeah,
call it a day.
yeah.
Then the next thing, have them play soccer, pick up soccer, another set of them, like because you'd need
Some
you
players
couldn't get
play
everybody.
baseball, right?
Have them play
Some players
baseball.
play baseball.
I mean, I
Did
don't want to
Kyler
watch
Murray play baseball? I
but
think
you
was it Bo Jackson or Barry Sanders? One of them would like also play baseball.
Yeah.
You know, like football players sometimes play baseball.
Oh,
you know?
100%. I'm sure that you have plenty of quarterbacks who can pitch, and I'm sure there's guys who can hit. And even if there isn't,
I'm
it would
just
be
naming
fun to
sports.
watch. It would be
Now,
fun to watch.
hockey, that would be kind of funny to have to watch him play.
That would be.
There'll be like one dude, Kyle Juszczyk with that Slavic name of his. Will he'll be a beast. He'll be the only guy who can play.
And that's what a lot of them, a lot of it would turn into is like even the basketball. There would probably be like one guy who has handles, and that would be it. Like he'd just be dribbling around all the other dudes. But I think that's a good idea. They're doing all this other crap. Why not have them actually play? And it could still be like, yeah, I think that your point about the NBA All-Star game is interesting. They're trying. Like I think that you can see where they're trying to emulate that because that's pretty successful. I mean, part of that is that the NBA is a lot more star driven, but we're getting there with the NFL.
It's like every player's it's like in that it can be like every all-star is like a quarterback, right? It's
Right.
The same. And like what you were saying, all these all these all-stars play also because it's not happening right before the championship, right before the finals, but all these all-stars play. Whereas, I mean, you just listed it: Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. All not playing. I forget the other guys, but I mean, obviously, people who are actually in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, they're not playing either. That doesn't happen in the All-Star game. So the All-Star gets all their quarterbacks. It's like everyone's a quarterback.
Yes. Now, so that's the thing, but that's in the middle of the season. So I don't think you can. I don't think you can push like an All-Star week to the middle of the season, but they could do it if they're extending the schedule. I would be hard pressed to see football guys wanting to go play basketball in the middle of the season, but we'll see. But something about like you can see it merging together. You can see like the flag football thing. Now all their helmets are off, so the entire time they're playing, you can see their faces. Well, that's the big thing about the NBA is that you can see their faces. There's only 5 guys. The court's smaller. Everything's zoomed in. That's why everybody's a star. That's why what everybody looks like. That certainly is moving in that direction. They try to do the dunk contest thing with the catch contest. It was poorly executed, in my opinion. But they're trying. They're working on it. But yeah, I don't know. It's lots of good ideas. We'll see next year. It'll probably still be bad, but we'll talk about it. We'll watch it, and so many others will as well. Right. So, any last thoughts before we close this podcast down, Jack?
Not really for now. No. Nothing,
All right.
Nothing that wouldn't be out of jest.
I got a big question for you then, just to close this down. For the listeners who are still here, and you're riding this out in the full podcast, thank you for listening or watching. Can't do it without you. Make sure that you're subscribed, that you follow, shoot us a like, a comment, whatever you do, wherever you listen. Thank you. And because you're still here, you get to hear Jack and I, our favorite Super Bowl snack appetizer. Okay. You're sitting down for the Super Bowl, right down the coffee table. You're reaching for what? What's there? What's your favorite, Jack?
Ooh, my absolute favorite. I gotta think about my absolute favorite. I mean, I gotta say, I haven't had them in a couple years. I think I haven't had it in some years, but I think I gotta go wings.
Wings. Okay.
I like wings. I like chicken wings.
Okay,
so I think I gotta go that. I'm gonna go bone in.
Bone in and
I'm going
sauce.
bone
What
in.
are we working with?
Sauce, like Like buffalo sauce. Buffalo
Buffalo
specifically
sauce.
with the blue cheese, you know.
With the blue
with
cheese.
blue cheese, I
Yeah,
would
you
say.
heard it
With
here,
blue
folks.
cheese.
This is a blue cheese
Yeah.
podcast,
What
okay?
can I?
We dip with
Call it-
blue cheese, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like a nice barbecue wing myself with the blue cheese, but my favorite is buffalo chicken dip. So similar, but that
yeah.
chip with the buffalo chicken dip. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's just
Hey, chips, some sort of chips and dip or chips and salsa, whatever. That was a close second for me, but I had the wings for me. Oh, now I'm thinking eating wings.
Hopefully, all you guys out there enjoy your Super Bowl snacks and the game. We will be back after, on Monday after the Super Bowl to talk about how everything went. It's going to be a super fun and eventful weekend. And yeah, thanks for watching episode 31 of 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the Super Bowl.